Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 118 of the Sim Racing Show. And this week, Gran Turismo 7 needs to change its priorities because Polyphony has just revealed another new Group 3 car. But sim racers have a very clear message for the developers. Polyphony, listen up, start prioritizing the things that players have actually been asking for, because GT7 doesn't need more content for the sake of content anymore. It needs the right content. We'll get into it in just a second. Le Mans Ultimate has also passed a massive milestone that shows just how many sim racers are buying into the game, but there's a massive problem also that's really seriously threatening that momentum, and we've got some last minute breaking news there as well. Richard Burns' rally somehow refuses to die more than 20 years later, and its latest update has exposed a big challenge that Assetto Corsa Rally needs to solve if it wants the game to feel the same kind of longevity. We've also got NASCAR 26 with a very special tribute, BeamNG.drive potentially moving into truck sims territory, more Mercedes machinery coming to SnowRunner, and PISTA Motorsport, remember that, continuing to build a racing world that most other sims completely ignore. Let's get into it. So Gran Turismo 7 has now teased another new car, and this one's a little bit unexpected. During the Gran Turismo World Series event in Tokyo, Polyphony showed the Mazda RX Vision GT3 Evo, basically an updated version of Mazda's fictional Group 3 car. And to be honest with you, reaction to the car itself isn't that bad. A lot of players, like myself, really like the RX Vision GT3. I've run it in championships. It looks good. It sounds really unique. It is one of those fictional Gran Turismo race cars that has genuinely become part of the game's identity, like the Peugeot YCZ Group 3. But Polyphony, listen up, because at some point, GT7 has to start prioritizing what players actually want to play. I went through the comments under my last Gran Turismo 7 video, and the message is just impossible to miss if you're Polyphony. More tracks, better events, more reasons to use the cars we already have. Silverstone, Sebring, Pikes Peak, Road America, Seattle, Tokyo R246, Sierra, the list keeps going, and that's the point. GT7 already has hundreds of cars, so every time Polyphony gives us another car reveal, even if it's a Group 3 machine, if it's a fictional Group 3 machine, people are asking, when are we going to get the other stuff as well? And if Polyphony does want to keep expanding Group 3, which is a good thing to do because people want Group 3 cars, why another fictional evolution before cars like the BMW M4 GT3, Toyota GR GT3, which Forza Horizon seems to be in a better place for Toyota now. So the RX Vision GT3 Evo is cool. I 100% get that. I will drive it. I think it's a good addition, but Polyphony needs to do more, and Polyphony should be doing more. Polyphony needs to start prioritizing the things players actually want to race, drive, and come back for. Maybe the next big reveal shouldn't be another car or another World Series special. Maybe it should be the track, championship, or mode players have been asking for all along, because I firmly believe if Polyphony had announced another game mode, that would have far more interest and appeal than this GT3 Evo. But let me know what you think in the comments. Now, moving on to Le Mans Ultimate, which has passed over 500,000 sales, so massive congratulations. The company says that the game has sold more than 1.2 million DLC items, which has helped Motorsport Games report its 6th profitable quarter in a row, and it just proves what I've been saying for years now, that Le Mans Ultimate is a DLC game. But considering where Motorsport Games was not that long ago, it's a pretty big turnaround, because Le Mans Ultimate went from a game people were worried might never come out or get the support it needed to one of the most important endurance racing sims on the market. But there's a massive catch, a huge catch, a party cancelling catch. A lot of players have been dealing with serious online issues, and for a game so unashamedly built around ranked multiplayer and endurance racing, that has to be fixed, because sales are one thing, trust is a complete other thing. If LMU is indeed heading to console in 2027, the online experience needs to be much more stable, much more reliable, and much easier to recommend to new players on console. So the numbers are impressive. The game has clearly sold. The DLC plan is clearly working. People are not fatigued about buying the DLC. Motorsport Games is in a much healthier position, but LMU needs to make sure the experience actually matches momentum. And just breaking news right now, the online issues are so bad when it comes to netcode and collisions, these kind of things, that Low Fuel Motorsport are suspending a championship in Le Mans Ultimate, and there's other leagues as well suspending championships in Le Mans Ultimate. It's unplayable at the moment for certain leagues, And when you're paying a subscription as well for maybe Race Control Pro Plus, you need to understand that the game is going to work for you. So Le Mans Ultimate is in some big trouble at the moment and they need to fix it. Now, speaking of games that survive because people refuse to give up on them, Richard Burns Rally has somehow done it again, and it's given a little bit of a problem to Assetto Corsa Rally. But before that, I want to say a big thank you to Eneba for sponsoring the sim racing show. Eneba is a marketplace for gamers selling everything from like gift cards to the games themselves. If you go to Eneba.com and you filter by racing games, you can see all of the racing games that they have on their site. Now you can filter their sellers there by trust scores, etc. Make sure you check out Eneba's refund policy. But if you decide to get a racing game, let me know in the comments what you decide to get. Are you enjoying it? Did you find something that you didn't know you were going to find there? A big thank you to Eneba for sponsoring the sim racing show. Now, Richard Burns Rally has refused to die. The Rally Sims mod has received another update, adding several new stages to a rally sim that probably, if we're honest, should have disappeared years ago, but somehow it still feels alive because of the community. Two of the new stages are especially interesting. Big Nun, known for Rally San Remo, and Combe, a popular like RAC rally style stage. And this is exactly why Richard Burns Rally is so important. The base game is just ancient. We can call it ancient. It's not modern. It's not pretty in the way that new games are, and it has been abandoned officially for a very long time, but the modding community keeps it going. Rally Sim Fans gives players an all-in-one way to download, update, and play Richard Burns Rally, and because modders keep adding stages, cars, and improvements, the game still feels completely relevant, even culturally, and that's insane when you think about it. Most racing games disappear after a few years. Richard Burns Rally is still being talked about because the community basically turned it into a living rally platform. You don't hear that, for example, with the likes of, I don't know, Project Gotham Racing or something like that. And this is where Assetto Corsa Rally's biggest challenge becomes really obvious, because Richard Burns Rally has one thing that every rally game needs: constant new roads. The Rally Sim Fans community keeps adding stages, and that means players always have another reason to come back. New roads, new challenges, new events, new reasons to practice. Assetto Corsa Rally is in a very different position. Its laser scan stages are a huge strength because they can feel extremely detailed and authentic, but the problem is that laser scan stages take serious time, money, and resource to build. Now, I'm sure there's loads of efficiencies there in terms of the way they're getting that laser scan detail in, but quantity is an issue for Assetto Corsa Rally, and rally games live or die on stage variety. And that's why modding feels so important, because if Assetto Corsa Rally eventually opens up properly to community stages, it could become much more than a small early access rally sim. It could become a platform. But if every new stage has to come only from Supernova, then it's going to be very hard to keep up with something like Richard Burns Rally, a 20-year-old game that still somehow gets new roads because the community never stopped building. So Assetto Corsa Rally needs modding sooner rather than later. The official stages can still be the premium laser scan foundation, but community could be what keeps the game alive for years. And we are starting to see this with Assetto Corsa Evo, with a lot of mods coming through. And there's a lot of people in my community, like KCR Simba, we're really enjoying exploring those mods. Now, from Rally Sims and community race stages, something very different, because NASCAR 26 is adding a tribute that will mean a lot to American racing fans. So iRacing Studios has confirmed that the late, great Kyle Busch, a two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion and one of the most successful drivers in NASCAR history, with more than 200 wins across NASCAR's National Series, will appear in NASCAR 26. And this is obviously going to be one of the more emotional parts of the game. Busch will be selectable in multiplayer and quick race modes, with a tribute sticker also available in the car creator. It's a nice touch for a driver who meant so much to NASCAR, and it gives players a way to keep racing one of the biggest names the sport has ever had. It's a small feature in gameplay terms, but for NASCAR fans, this one obviously carries a lot more weight. Now, BeamNG.drive looks like it's getting a new European-style truck, and that's actually a very interesting direction for the game. The developers teased an image on the West Coast USA map showing what looks to be the rear of a cab over lorry, which immediately makes people think of Euro Truck Simulator style content, but with BeamNG's physics and damage model underneath it. And with BeamNG heading to PS5 later this year, it looks like the team are still trying to expand the game beyond just crash testing and chaos into a much wider driving sandbox. Let me know in the comments, would you actually play BeamNG as a truck simulator, or do you still mainly see it as a physics and crash sandbox? And speaking of big trucks, SnowRunner is getting 2 more Mercedes-Benz trucks on September the 2nd. The Mercedes-Benz Trucks Dual Pack 2 will add the impeccably named LG 15196x6 Mammut and the NG350, continuing the partnership between Sabre Interactive and Mercedes. The interesting thing is that this is already the second Mercedes partnership, so naturally people are going to start asking what comes next. And now from global truck brands to a sim with a very different identity, PISTA Motorsport is still building out its Argentinian racing world. The latest free update adds a historic Autodromo Oscar y Juan Galvez in Buenos Aires, which has been part of Argentina's motorsport scene for more than 70 years. And it's not just one version of the circuit either. PISTA gets 6 layouts of Buenos Aires. Now what makes PISTA interesting is that it has a very specific identity. It's focused on Argentinian motorsport, local cars, local tracks, and a scene that most big racing games barely touch. The long-term plan still includes modding, paid DLC, and more game modes, so there is clearly a bigger roadmap here. It's still early and it still has a long way to go, but updates like this help the game feel more real, more complete, and more worth keeping an eye on. So hopefully you've enjoyed the Sim Race Show this week. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Spotify as well if you want to listen to this as a podcast, and I'll see you next time.